second. We also have a ranking that's close to Miami standards of the past. It's a top 10 label. This not from the Associated Press or the coaches poll, but this one actually counts, or could, for Miami in particular and other teams as we head toward the stretch of the season, because these are the people that actually decide who goes where, and the top four that really count. So Miami comes out at number 10 in the nation with a 7-0 record, according to the College Football Playoff Committee. Your thoughts about the ranking, where it stands? We know that they need to win regardless of where they sit now, but do you think it's a fair placement for this team?
I think it's a little low, honestly. There's 5 undefeated teams in Division I. There's 4 undefeated teams in the Power 5 conferences, those being Georgia, Alabama, Wisconsin, and Miami. I'm not saying that those need to be the top 4 at current, but 10th just seems low, honestly. And they were talking about Notre Dame's phenomenal loss to Georgia and everything. It boggles my mind that we're not using wins and losses as a metric for success. And all of the narrative stuff about strength of schedule and game control and whatnot, there's a couple people who were tweeting out some counterfactuals to what was presented by Kirby Hocutt, who is formerly the University of Miami athletic director, of whom I do not have any fond memories at all. But, you're talking about strength of schedule. Well, Alabama's strength of schedule is lower than Miami's. Well, Miami doesn't have any top 25 wins. Alabama has 1. Florida State. But, they're talking about, they play Florida State at full speed, which tacitly derides Miami's win over Florida State. But had things been reversed, it would be a different kind of thing. So it's just, if you're being honest about it and just say, look, Miami has not been as strong of a team as we thought. That's why we put them at 10. I can take the truth. I just hate this duplicitous nature of what is actually being said, which runs counterfactual to, what the truth of the situation is. But that's just how I feel about it. I'm not going to get really bent out of shape. Coaches have us at 6. AP has us at 9. I thought that the playoff would have us at about 8 or 9. So 1 spot below that, not terribly bad or anything like that. And as we're going to talk about, as long as Miami wins games, they're in the driver's seat of our own destiny. The Hurricanes are 10th, but you have 2 big games this week and then next week, and then obviously games after that, which we expect to win, just because the teams after the next 2 weeks are not as strong as the 2 teams that we're playing back-to-back right here. But, I think that it is a little low, but I think all things can be rectified with wins, and all we've done for the last 12 game weeks is win. So I'm hopeful and looking forward to Miami continuing that this week.
Cam, you forgot to cite the Mark Rogers TV poll of 1, where Miami is ranked number 7.
Oh, I didn't even know that. I'll take that. So, okay, cool. So we got 6, 7, 9, and 10. So all there somewhere. And, hopefully we keep winning. All of those numbers are going to go closer to 1.
You can imagine, and you already know this, but I guess I'm telling some people out there, when you do something like I do on a nearly daily basis, you obviously love the debate, love the discussion, and love to analyze. So this is something that I've found myself doing each and every Sunday, is look at the top 25 and tear it to shreds and point out the inconsistencies and the illogic to it. And then I produce my own top 25. So you've got your bucket of people that go eyeball test. Then you've got your bucket of people over here that go track record and resume. And I'm in the track record and resume category. We keep hearing, for example, taking it away from Miami for just a minute, Ohio State lost to Oklahoma. They lost decidedly to Oklahoma by 2 scores in the second half. Therefore, for me, as long as those 2 teams continue to perform, meaning the results on the field are the same, and to date they are at 7-1, Oklahoma should be ranked ahead of Ohio State. For some reason, people think, okay, Ohio State, they're much better. That was an aberration. If they played again, they beat them by 3 touchdowns. And that might be the case, but we don't know that. That's total conjecture. That's not the truth. That's not reality. The reality is the 2 teams played. Just like they played last year, and Oklahoma finished number 5 and Ohio State finished number 6 with the same record, even though Ohio State won on the field. It's funny that the opposite is happening this year because of people's perception. They just believe that whatever they think is really should trump actually what happened on the field. And it's insane to me. when we have clear evidence on the field of what happened and we can't rank the teams accordingly.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. And, you know, obviously the head-to-head is a huge thing. If you go back to the year 2000, my freshman year at Miami, we beat Florida State, and Florida State went to the national championship game and got shut out by Oklahoma. And Miami did not go to the national championship game that year, even though head-to-head. You know, so these things, I know it's a current thing in that situation with Oklahoma and O State, but this thing's been going on, you know, for a long time. But spinning it back to Miami, in that the Hurricanes are undefeated, there can be no controversy at current time. So if we continue, if the Hurricanes will continue to win, there is not a, okay, well, you know, I get that the optics might not be the greatest. I know that we played arguably our worst game of the year against a terrible North Carolina team last week and barely snuck out with the win. But at the end of the day, we won that game. We won the Syracuse game, the Georgia Tech game, the Florida State game, and every other game that's on our schedule. So, you know, as long as those things happen, then I think that, you know, Miami is going to continue to go up. But, yeah, there are in other areas of the poll, you know, that head-to-head kind of thing. If one team beats a team and then that team loses to another team, where should they be ranked? So, you know, that's always going to happen. It's the nature of sports. And, I mean, you have 130 teams in Division I college football now, and you're lucky to get one or two of them that go undefeated in any season. So there's always going to be, you know, talk and conjecture, but hopefully Miami can silence all that with some wins.
Yeah, to me, the results on the field should trump everything else. Then the performance on the field should be a tiebreaker, meaning if you were comparing Miami to somebody else and Miami beat North Carolina 17-12 or whatever the score was, I watched it start to 24-19, 24-16, whatever it was. They beat North Carolina, and you were comparing them directly to somebody else. And the only game you had to compare them directly, and they were both, let's say, 8-0, was another team that beat North Carolina 52-0. Okay, fine. We can make that comparison. But otherwise, results first, meaning the score on the scoreboard and the wins and losses, then performance. Because if you win every game by 1 point, that shouldn't go against you. We're not sitting around debating NFL standings because teams won games by 1 point. The wins and the losses should be first and foremost. Then the performance and the tracking of the wins and losses versus the schedule. Certainly strength of schedule is extremely important as well. The tricky part, not to continue the conjecture, but it is fun, is let's say a loss to Notre Dame by Miami, running the table in the ACC, winning the ACC championship game. I would still consider any ACC champion with one loss to be worthy of the college football playoff, but it might be a little dicey in that situation.
Yeah, I mean, all those things I believe, you know, are correct. But we just got to keep winning games for Miami, and everything is going to, you know, go in a good direction.